Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the most, newest transmission of the RozyGlow frequencies that I've wanted to come through and give those who are already part of the RozyGlow community a real flash of where we're at currently, where we're set course and that we are in direction of and alignment with. And for those of you who are newer to RozyGlow, or maybe have done a little bit of work with us and you're thinking about diving a little deeper, I really wanted to create this space to celebrate now this balance of light and dark, where we get to have the most balanced view of where we are, where we've been and where we're going, and to open our hearts to what it actually means to master co-creating our reality, so that we can actually co-create peace on earth, because we are in a critical time for humanity. Like, every one of us has to make a decision in our hearts as to whether we want more of the same or we want something new, and we're willing to embrace the unknown path. We're willing to dare to imagine it is possible for things to be different to how they are now. So as we speak, we currently know that there is a huge conflict that is potentially very threatening for the whole planet. And there are other conflicts going on in the world as well. There always have been. But this is the point, is we have come to accept that conflict is a normal part of our lives and war is inevitable. And I really want to turn all of that on its head and say, you know what? It isn't. Just because it's the way it has been, it doesn't mean it's the way it has to be in the future. And we make the decision in our hearts as to what we actually want. And the heart is how we access the soul. So I'm actually going to take you through a very short presentation. I really want to thank Helen, who put this together literally overnight, because I got this download at 3:05 in the morning 3 nights ago, and I was like, share this with everybody, please. And this is your invitation to evolve your desire to co-create your reality. So it's not coming from ego wounding, it's actually coming from the highest octave of your own expression. So I want to start, before I go into the co-creation, we're not doing co-creation today, into the presentation, to ask you just 3 questions to consider here. So 1, do we choose something better or more of the same? And you can put in the text box what you want. Do you want something better or do you want more of the same? Okay, and please just mute yourselves. I'm just muting you, Gemma. The second question is, are we ready to remember our power and to choose to use it wisely? Okay, are we ready to remember our power, just how powerful we are, and to choose to use it wisely? Because you cannot have all the power that you actually have got unless you're willing to actually have the integrity that's required, because we can see in the world what others have done with tremendous power. And we, if we are going to lead, really must make a choice to learn from how power has been abused and make another choice. So we're going to have tested ourselves so many times already as to whether we'll stay in integrity, we'll choose the higher path, what happens when no one's looking, what is the difference in the back end of our mind and what we actually reveal to the world. Because we really, have got a big responsibility with this magic wand. We must really learn the power of the wand. So again, are you ready to remember your power? And the third thing is, are we ready for peace? Are we ready? Are we ready for peace in our own lives? And are we ready for peace in the world around us? And I don't want you to wonder how it's going to happen. I just want to know, are you ready for it? Give me a yes if you are, because we really are the ones being called to create it. Okay, excellent. So I'm now going to go straight into the presentation. I'm hoping to surprise everybody by just how quickly I'm going to move through it. And then I'm going to open things up to questions. So those of you who have questions to ask about this, please just feel free to take the floor and I will do some Q&A with you. Also, for those of you who are already on this journey with us, as I said, this is just a snapshot of where we are right now in our current consciousness, because this is very important for how we move forward. So without further ado, let's see if I can do the technology. I also want to thank the lovely Kate for managing to take my head and do something different with it. So by that, I mean she simplified the language that I use Everybody see this okay? Yeah. All right. So how to manifest co-creating your reality so we can co-create peace on earth. And this is without, and this is so important because as manifestors, we have to really, really learn what it means to co-create in integrity. So this is without trying to control outcomes, without forcing your will on anyone, because, you know, we all have this idea of what the answer is, but we're not forcing that will, without making our happiness dependent on external factors, and without changing anything outside of you. So most of us, as freedom fighters, as beings who are peace troubadours, and that came through last night as well, you know, we are fighting for peace, which is ironic and it's a bit of an oxymoron, but ultimately there is this sense that we have to be very careful of as a shadow element, which is that we know better. We know better than everyone around us. Now, we might actually have a higher sense of what's going on, and this is what it means to see things multidimensionally, but we have to have the utmost compassion for the darkest darkness that is here, because that was us once, and we are not here to control other people's free will. We are here though to amplify the will of our planet and our universe and our galaxy, and our universe has chosen, has already said that the light has won. So I delight in sharing with you the what. And by that, I mean, although I've said how to master co-creating your reality, in this little space here, I can share with you the what. The how is the experiential journey and training that RozyGlow offers. So the whole point is that we go on a journey together and learn how to live from our higher selves. And that's not something I can teach in a presentation, but I can give you what I believe are the key revelations or secrets that are required for us to understand in order to move off the fourth dimensional hamster wheel of trying to somehow affect our reality positively, but never quite knowing if we've fully mastered it or not, and whether we can replicate it in the future. There are some key elements that can really make a big difference. So what is RozyGlow? Well, little news flash, I only discovered about a few weeks ago that actually RozyGlow is a galactic consciousness. Up until now, I knew that I was channeling divine grace, which I'll go into in a minute, but RozyGlow as a frequency is a galaxy. It exists within our universe, and it is a member of the Galactic Federation of Love Light, and it transmits the grace codes. Okay, so the whole point of grace is to understand that it means different things to different people. And this is why I wanted to go over the language that I use and how I use it. So it's clear for everybody when you're choosing to be part of RozyGlow and this frequency, what you're actually choosing to be a part of. It's the transparency of what we're doing. And, you know, to be a galactic consciousness is one down of being a universal consciousness. That means that the frequency of RozyGlow is one step away from being able to create our own universe. That means it is pretty damn advanced. And I don't mean damn, I mean amazingly advanced. And it blows me away because I am the human, Rosanna Hannis, that channels RozyGlow. But I also believe everybody who's a member of my community, who's been through Fearless, been through liberation from limitation, and actually become a member of RISE, which is the RozyGlow Intentional Soul Explorers, has been able to connect to this frequency and transmit it, download it and transmit it themselves. So RozyGlow is this frequency that we can, it's a hive mind, but it is a hive mind that is entirely of free will to become a member of, and it is literally seeing through eyes of love and loving what we see. So a little bit more on the frequency of divine grace. The way I understand grace, and there are different interpretations, but I share it as someone who trained in Anusara yoga, which means to flow with grace. Also as someone who appreciates the Christian term of grace as the gifts of the divine freely given, but also understands grace from the term of my teacher's teaching, Susanna Kennedy's teaching, that ultimately it is the power of revelation. This is the power of being able to see something that you couldn't see before. And as a result of that, be able to see a way through where before there was only ever a block. So grace is what allows us to get out of our own way, by being able to see clearly where we are holding ourselves back, where we are locked into a mindset, a belief, a perception of the world that is actually blocking your flow. And as Rosanna Hannis, who channels RozyGlow, I am transmitting directly from all that is. I am transmitting from my higher self, but directly from source. When I speak light language, I'm connecting to my star families that have helped me to remember I'm part of the Galactic Federation of Love Light as RozyGlow. And these star families include the Sirians, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, the Lyrans, also Regis, which is an aspect or one part of Orion, but not all of Orion, because there's some interesting energies there. And very strongly connected to Neptune as well. So our capacity to dream big and imagine infinite possibilities. So for me, what I wanted to share with you today as the download is really some of the key elements of what it means to master co-creating our reality, and to do that in alignment with co-creating peace on earth. So I feel, as this diagram shows you here, and if you see there's the top of this diamond and the bottom of this diamond, that what is absolutely essential for all light workers, all beings that are basically wanting to ascend into the realm of love, into the realm of co-creating from the heart, we must activate our earth and our soul chakras daily. Many of us are practicing yoga and other beautiful, often Eastern inspired practices, but we haven't understood that we have to move beyond the 7 chakra system. Now, you'll see in this image here, this lovely bit of glitter, and I do love a bit of glitter, but what is happening for all of us as we plug into our divine human circuitry is we are actually collapsing the chakra system so that we really have one chakra, and that is the chakra of the heart. But that is also a whole universe that we dive into. And this is what I mean about our consciousness growing and evolving to one where the more power we have, we get as a result of how we have shown we will use that power wisely. So we test ourselves again and again and again to act in alignment with the highest good of all and the win-win-win. And this is a key element of co-creating and mastering co-creation, is your willingness to surrender to the highest good of all, which is exactly what RozyGlow is about. We don't intend anything without surrendering it to the highest good of all and the win-win-win. So the whole mind, body, spirit architecture that we work with in terms of the energy bodies and the way that we activate opens the portal of the heart, which is your sort of, it's how you access everything. Through all that is through your heart. And it is our connection to all that is. It is also our divine spark. So the invitation of RozyGlow is to enter into a divine human temple that teaches reunification with source whilst in physical form. So we're learning to be ascended masters in physical form, if that makes sense. We're learning to walk this earth as the divine embodied in human form. And so all of us go through a process of amnesia, of forgetting our soul consciousness, and then choosing to remember it in this life. So if you've come this far and you are connected and attracted to this, it is because your soul longs to reunify with the divine and move out of the trappings of the mind, which never, ever, ever satisfy us. So a little something on co-creating, manifesting, and law of attraction. So obviously many of us are aware of The Secret. We're aware of working with consciously manifesting our reality and the cycles of the moon and vision boards and just, you know, crystal grids and all sorts of wonderful ways of working with the elements to seek to have an effect on our environment and our lives. But we actually have to really strip this right back and ask the question, are we co-creating from the ego, or are we co-creating from the higher self? And when people get into this idea of wanting to somehow affect their reality, what I've noticed when people join the RozyGlow experience is that our expectation is somehow mastering, you know, co-creating means that we're going to be able to guarantee fair weather sailing all of the time. It's like people come into this desire to co-create because we have this idea that we're going to be able to control the weather conditions, we're going to be able to control all sorts of external factors so that we can just have a wonderful peak experience all of the time. And you know what? You would be absolutely bored stiff if that actually happened. The expectation is that, but the invitation, and this is what people learn very quickly on this journey with us, is that what we offer is all-weather training. So instead of trying to manipulate and control our environment so that no matter what, you know, we're in control of it and it's as we want it to be, we learn that no matter what the conditions around us are, we have set ourselves to align with thriving. We have set ourselves to learn all-weather training, which builds tremendous confidence. It builds our self-worth. It builds our sense of positive anticipation and excitement for the future and the unknown, because we know we have this inherent skill set that we can rely on. Anytime it feels like we're lost and we don't know where to go and our world's been turned upside down and we're in new unfamiliar territory, which guess what is the world of the pioneer, and we are all pioneers here in RozyGlow. It's how you actually come back to your true north. How do you know beyond all doubt that you'll be able to get through, and not just get through, but come out better for every experience that we encounter? That's what we are in the business of learning. And when you develop that kind of confidence in yourself, that no matter what, you're going to come out on top and learn to thrive and bring something amazing through, then it makes it an adventure. And we positively anticipate the unknown rather than dread it and try and control it. And, you know, it's so important. If anyone has any questions or is excited about any of these bits, please put a message in the text box so we can definitely address it afterwards. But that's the whole thing I want people to really get, is that we're not here to be master manipulators of our external world. We're here to shift our internal view so we can see the opportunity for growth, and we can see grace basically flowing through everything, even what seems absolutely horrific, because that's when we go into judgment, and that's when we go into duality, and we cannot reunify with the divine whilst we stay attached to duality. So our present moment power, our conscious mind alignment is the foundation of us co-creating successfully. And this is something that I feel really important to sort of drum home, because this is the conscious mind, okay? This is the ability to make a choice about how you're going to see things once you've noticed how you're actually seeing it. So coming back to how do we master co-creating our reality? How can we, so we can co-create peace on earth? First question is, what is co-creating? And ultimately, we're always co-creating. We're either consciously or unconsciously shaping our experience based on visible and hidden expectations. So either you are co-creating from your programmed self, which is the fear-based conditioning, which I refer to as the ego programming. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Your fear-based conditioning that I refer to as RozyGlow as your ego programming, or your higher self consciousness. Your higher self is your superconscious, or I am presence, or soul. It's all of the above. So we have to, in every moment, recognize we're always co-creating. And if we're on autopilot, we are co-creating according to our conditioning, which is our survival programming, until we have made a conscious decision to align our subconscious, conscious, and superconscious, so that we are actually working with the intention of our superconscious, which is our higher self. So the next question is, what are you seeking to co-create? When we set intention, what is it we want out of it? Why do we want what we want? Why? And keep asking why. Activate that toddler and that teen in you, and that 8-year-old that keeps going, why? Why is it like this? Why do I want this? Why do I want that? And keep asking, because our ego programming is very clever at trying to disguise its intention to keep us where we're used to being, right? So asking this question is so important, and getting very clear on our intention. so that we are aware of when we're getting the mind tricks being played against us. And there's another question about co-creating, which is, where are we co-creating from? The 3D, 4D or 5D perspectives. And there are many more dimensions, my friends, many more perceptions that we can tap into. But 3D in simple terms is the physical world. It's the terrestrial vision. It is the mainstream channeling of consciousness, which you will find in TV and radio and newspapers and magazines and everything that's pop culture. And 4D is the realm of the mind, where we can get infinitely lost trying to understand everything. And 5D is the realm of the heart, when we actually do choose to surrender to putting our soul in control. Now, 4D is a necessary bridge. You need the mind. You can't go from a conditioned self to a higher self consciousness and positioning without engaging the mind. But it's whether the mind is ruling the heart or the heart is guiding the mind that decides whether you're in 3D or 5D. Got it? I'll say it again. Either it is the heart that is governing the mind, or it is the mind governing the heart. Now, if you want to access 5D, you need the heart to govern the mind. If you want to stay in control of trying to understand everything, you're always going to be deferring back to 3D and 4D consciousness, because the mind always wants to know why. You find out why later. Trust is essential. Okay, so what is a higher self? It seems such a simple thing, but it's so important. Well, it is your inner presence, according to Esther Hicks. If you've heard of Abraham, etc., your I am presence, according to me and my teacher, Susanna, source self and the soul. So our higher self is the highest octave of our consciousness. It is the unified aspect of our being that has actually embraced the shadow rather than trying to deny its existence. So there is a difference between duality and polarity. Duality makes a judgment about opposing forces. And basically the opposite of that, which is polarity, is just accepting that there is night and there is day. One is not better than the other. Right? There is light and there is dark. They each serve a function. There is physical and there is non-physical, right? That's polarity. So can we make a choice to master co-creating our reality? We absolutely have to move beyond judgment. We have to embrace the judgment that we have inside of us and choose to evolve it into curiosity and observation. Okay, so I'm taking you into Revelation 1. So for me, you know, when there's always presentations, they're like the secret to this, the secret to that. These are the mind-blowing moments that I hope will shift you wherever you are on your journey right now. So we know that we have a subconscious, a conscious, and a superconscious mind, okay? Superconscious is, again, super ego is another story I'm not going to go into. Let's just actually go with this idea now that we have conscious, conscious, and superconscious. So your subconscious is basically the past. It is what forms your survival programming, which is your ego programming, right? Your ego, me, survival, everything's about me, just guaranteeing my safety. Now, the subconscious is made of your inherited perceptions and inherited trauma, whether it's your soul or your bloodline trauma. They are not one and the same, although they resonate, which is why you choose your bloodline families. Now, I associate the subconscious with the past. And as I say to people who are on the Fearless program, Fearless, Loved Up and Free to Be Me, we can clear the memory of the past, but actually you also have to deal with your present moment awareness and your expectation of the future. So let's just say that the past is the third dimension, the realm of what was, that is still being played in our reality because we keep looking out for it, we focus on it, we create it. The present is your bridge. It is the fourth dimensional bridge. It is the moment that you recognize the key beliefs that are still locking you into a lower frequency, a lower dimension, or you're able to see you've shifted a belief. And as a result of that, you're in a position to help move on to the 5D element of your frequency because you're now looking for the good. So the future is 5D if we align our vision with our superconscious, our higher self vision. That means, again, surrendering control to your soul. So in plain language every day, anything you say after the words I am or I'm, you are energizing. You are putting your God self, your I am presence ahead of any statement that you say. Now, if you say every day, you call in your I am presence, I am all that is, I am the one self I am that I am, and then everything that follows that we work with in our programs, you're calling in your higher self to guide you, to lead you through the day. But you have to remember that you're going to keep encountering the you of the now, even though you've called in the you of the future, and that is the you that already has what you want, that is already experiencing, let's say, peace on earth, to guide your consciousness in the present moment. But you can't get from past to future without the present. So the present is the bridge. It is the decision you're going to make in every moment. My old self, when triggered by fear or worry or whatever, would do this. But me that I am becoming is choosing to do this instead. And this is the beauty, is we can clear the past of the programming, of the memory, but in order to create something new in the future, we have to adjust our perception of the present moment. That is so important. Where is the opportunity for growth? What other possibilities are available to us? And remembering that when you think you've exhausted all options, you haven't. Okay, so Revelation 2, it's right here. I've just said it. We can clear the memory of the past, but we must also change our expectation of the future. Old programming can only create more of the same. So present moment beliefs determine whether old programming is reactivated or the imagination can create something new. Now, this is a phenomenal thing about our minds, right? So if you are into the field of epigenetics, and honestly, if you haven't read Bruce Lipton's The Honeymoon Effect and The Biology of Belief, please do read them, because they form the basis of everything I've ever taught in my adult life, from when I was a yoga teacher, just doing pregnancy and baby and fertility yoga, through to what I'm doing now. So the brain, the hypothalamus, cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined when it comes to stress, right? So our body's physiological response to perceived threats in our environment, which, by the way, when you're reading something, when you're watching TV, when you're engaged in entertainment, this is all part of this. This is why the entertainment industry is so powerful. We need to be aware of that power. We are basically telling our bodies that the world is either safe or it isn't. And so our body responds to this according to our perception. Now, here's the deal. Your perception isn't yours unless you have completely reprogrammed your subconscious and gone through a very consistent path to do that, which is what we teach in our programs. If you've just had a go at clearing bits as they come and go, that's not what we're talking about. If you haven't done a complete sweep and work through consciously and your subconscious clearing, then what you're doing is you're basically thinking you are a certain being, but you are conditioned to be that being according to your mother's perception of her environment, which was conditioned according to her mother's perception of her environment. And it goes on and on and on. It's no one's fault, but we are programmed by the previous generation and the generation before that. And there's research to say it goes back as far as 14 generations back. We are programmed to see the world as it was, not as it is. Okay, and this is massively influenced by pop culture, because pop culture is holding us in that vibrational state. So if you're reverting to thinking and trying to find solutions from the brain, it's not possible. We create the future from the past if we just engage the brain, or the mind, which is not the brain, it's in the field, right? We have to activate the power of our imagination. We have to imagine something else in order to be able to create something different. If we just go back through history and what we've experienced already, we will only create more of history. You can't create something new unless you go, what else is possible other than everything that I know has already happened? That's magic. Okay, this is so powerful to take this in, that it's through your imagination that you create a new reality. That's why acting as if, that's why faking it till you make it is so important. That's why borrowing off others who already have the frequency alignment that you want to connect with. You align with those who already have what you want, if you want to have that. Okay, that is one of the key secrets to being able to make a huge shift in the world. So that's why, again, The entertainment industry is so important, as is the media. Think about it, the media tells us what's supposedly going on in reality, right? Whereas entertainment tells us mainly through fiction what's going on. So if we create new narratives in our fictitious world, life imitates art. So we can create a new reality through the power of our imagination. Do you get why I created StarPeace now? Right. Question, will you believe it when you see it, old world? Or will you see it when you believe it, new world? And for those of you who remember this historical chicken and egg, questioning who has the most authority, science or religion, religion was asking us to have blind faith and to give our power away to others because we couldn't have a direct connection with the divine. Then science comes in to say, right, let's prove everything so we can choose to believe it is true rather than actually rely on someone else telling us it's true. And therefore we have to believe it, otherwise we're bad, right? We've needed both religion and science to evolve us to this point. But the new science is telling us God is in everything, source is in everything. So if we are willing now to recognize, not because someone else has told us to, and we're going to just give our power away to others, but if we're recognizing that we can alter the world around us by changing our belief and our perception of the world around us, this is how it happens. And your success in terms of mastering, co-creating your reality actually comes from being able to keep holding a vibrational alignment with something that hasn't manifested in the physical yet, not to give up hope, not to change directions because you think it isn't working because it hasn't happened when you think it should have happened, but to keep tending to staying in that alignment and clearing up the resistance that shows up until there is no resistance. And, you know, I'll talk a little bit about StarPeace in a minute, but like it's a journey when you really decide to line up with your authenticity. So Revelation 3, now this is really important when it comes to co-creating your reality. I'm not going to get into Father, Son, Holy Spirit stuff, but it relates to that as well. When we co-create, are we co-creating from our soul or our ego programming? Ego programming housed in the solar plexus, soul housed in the heart. Now we have to build a bridge between the two. We hold our inner family, the wounded aspects of our being, in our solar plexus. So what we end up having to look at here is how can we evolve that inner family, because all of us have a whole load of unmet needs. And we walk around trying to protect ourselves from being hurt more where we had unmet needs as children, to actually giving ourselves what we really need. So most of us, when we think about manifesting and law of attraction, think about taking some form of action. All right, let's just say you want to create peace on earth and you're fighting for peace, but you're coming from a place where we cannot stand the injustices in this world. It hurts so much to believe these terrible things are happening. So we're just trying to fight for change, man. It's not going to work. And here's why it's not going to work. You have to employ the feminine principle first. What is the vibrational frequency that you want to align with? You can't just go knee-jerk reacting to a situation unless it's literally life or death and you are fleeing or fighting for your life. We absolutely have to feel into what would peace feel like in our own personal lives if we want to create it in the world. That's a feeling vibration. It is a desire form. Okay, remember I said to you earlier, we have to be aware of our intentions. What do I want? Why do I want it? I want peace. Why do I want peace? I want peace because I know what conflict feels like. And I now want to have the experience of how I can bring peace to conflict, how I can choose something different other than battle when it looks like there are opposing forces in the world around me and within me. I want the higher principle to win. I want love to win. That's me having a conversation with my intention. The intention is peace. The question then is, what does it feel like? And we have to really tap into that because that is the feminine principle. And we ask, okay, I believe it can feel like this, but can it feel even better than this? And could it feel even better than this? Because if you want to put something out into the world, it has to be fueled by the highest vibration possible. which is why we ask the question, what brings you joy? What brings you more joy? If you want to co-create anything, you have to firstly get into the feeling vibration of your highest expression relating to that goal. And then I also want to just go straight to the divine child rather than the divine masculine, because once you have actually set the feeling vibration, then we really have to get clear why we actually want it. What is the intention behind it, which is what I just said, to bring peace to conflict, to see what it's like to have the experience of the higher self winning, if you like, rather than the lower self. I have all this history of battle. I now want to know what it's like to bring peace to battle, balance and harmony. I'm curious for that. That's my intention. That's the will of my inner child, because my lower octave, lower expression child has only ever known conflict, wants to avoid being in conflict because it doesn't like the pain. But the higher aspect, the divine child, is curious, is observing that there's been this way for so long. How else could it be? And so there's that desire for something different. Now, once you have married divine desire and divine will, which is the feminine and the inner child principle, then you can take divine right action, inspired action. So I know I have this desire and I've questioned this desire as to why I want it. Am I trying to avoid something, or am I trying to co-create something? This tells me whether I'm creating from my ego or my higher self. And then, okay, now I'm clear that I'm coming from this higher perspective. What is the inspired action I can take to help bring this into being? And you might still go and help a charity out, or go and help on the front line, or do whatever it is that you actually do. You're doing it from a very different place inside of you. It's not a knee-jerk reaction, meeting pain with more pain. It's having evolved into the heart. This is so important to master co-creating, my friends. So in terms of the modes of delivery that we offer, because as I said, RozyGlow is a galaxy, right? And we basically attune people to the frequency of grace, so we can see multi-dimensional. You can see the 3D, the 4D and the 5D frequencies. We choose what we're going to align with in any moment, both in our personal lives and in the collective. We want to look, first of all, at what we teach through Fearless, Loved Up and Free to Be Me. Now, whether you've done this program or are yet to do it, I feel like it's so important to understand this is like a 4-month process. The shortest amount of time I can see it being done gracefully and easily, and it does need maintenance. A 4-month process of unplugging from the fear matrix, the survival programming, and plugging into your divine matrix, your thrive programming, your soul conditioning that will allow you to take lemons and make lemonade rather than sting your eyes and get it all in your cuts and feel all owie, right? So there are 6 steps that we basically take people through. So by the end of this program, which is a beautiful hybrid course of one-to-one, group and digital support, it's really so deeply like nourishing as a cocoon to allow the caterpillar to become the butterfly. And trust me, anyone out here who's a therapist, light worker, coach, doing all sorts of high-level work, most of us have really not done this foundational work. I'd done 15 years worth of work, light working work, before I did this foundational work. And it changed my life. Absolutely. You know, in 4 years, I got everything I wanted. And I'm now living 4 years into having everything I wanted. And my biggest dream is coming up. And this is what I'm supporting others with as well. So the first thing, the first step, when you actually think about what we're doing on this journey, I'm not going to take you into the details of the course, that's all available on rozyglow.com. But basically, the step is learning to put your soul in control, activating your superconscious in every situation before you do anything else. The second step is all about getting clear on your intention and learning how to catch out your ego's desire to keep you where you're used to being. The third step is conscious mind alignment. It's once you have put your soul in control, got clear on your intention, it's taking those inspired actions that are in your control. You can actually do them, right? They're not up to someone else. So that's you doing what is in your control. The next step is subconscious clearing, subconscious detox. So we take you through a very elegant process that takes you sort of from all of the main societal, cultural and religious conditioning that we inherit through our bloodlines, and we clear it. But in your day-to-day life, any intention you have, once you decide this is what I want and this is why I want it and I'm good with that, then all that's in resistance is going to come up. The difference between 4D and 5D consciousness in terms of co-creating reality is in the fourth dimension, we're always looking for something to fix. You know, you can tap forever. You never get to the end of all the things you could tap for, right? I'm talking about emotional freedom technique, which is great, by the way, and I do use it. But I'm just saying it's never ending. You never get there. Like it's just infinite. Same as, you know, yoga philosophy, or same as, well, there are so many different things. Every tool that we have that's a multidimensional tool is effectively a 4D tool. Okay, it can take you one way or another, including psychedelics, plant medicine, etc. Like, these are all there to help us to understand more about ourselves, but we can get lost in the trying to understand. The fourth dimensional, if you like, rabbit hole is that you never get to the end. Whereas, and you will always have something else to fix if you're looking for problems to fix, right? From a 5D perspective, you're already an integrated multidimensional being. You decide what you want to experience, you turn that over to the highest good of all, and then you are shown what resistances you must work through in order to be able to achieve that. Because guess what? As an eternal soul in an ancient body, you cannot possibly do everything in this life. You're not here to do everything in this life to reunify with the divine. Your soul had a plan for you. You chose, you elected to come here when you did, to the beings that you came to in order to learn the lessons that you needed to learn to evolve your soul, to bring light to your shadow, to learn balance where you've only known one perspective, to grow your consciousness so that we can, when it's divine right timing, reunite with the divine. We do it in our physical world, in our physical reality, and we're learning to recognize that we can be both the ocean and the droplet in the ocean, the divine spark, the unique imprint, if you like, of this divinity expressed through you. No one does it like you. So that's why I want to say that don't see yourself as a problem. See yourself as a being, a spiritual being having a physical experience, and choose just to align with what your soul wanted for you. And everything that you are here to co-create, your soul mission, if you like, will become evident. So from that fourth step, we then go into blind spot discovery and fine tuning. So by the time people have finished working with us through the Fearless program, they're ready really to work with this understanding how their conscious mind is either blocking the flow or helping the flow. And that is what I mean about fair weather sailing versus all weather training, right? In the blind spot discovery and fine tuning, you are learning how to align more optimally with everything you desire in this now moment, and to see that it's not about you trying to control everything. It's about surrendering to divine timing and staying in your vibrational alignment. So instead of being constantly bombarded by the energy of others, you are transmitting a frequency that repels that which is misaligned and draws to you that which is in alignment. Okay, this one's a little bit, a bit more wordy, and this is the 6 steps to co-creation success. Okay, I hope you can see it all. Now, this is another course that we run, which is purely for the mind. Okay, it's a 6-week course, a 6-step course for those who are stuck in their monkey mind that just can't get out of overthinking. Sometimes people prefer to do this one first. I'm always going to say to people, do Fearless, because that does all the deep stuff, and then this is the cherry on top and the icing. And we've literally just graduated 3 from this program today. And honestly, like, it's like turning the spotlight on the 2 mind elements of Fearless, so conscious mind alignment and also blind spot discovery and fine tuning. So those who do the deep dive then come and do this bit and learn how to rewrite their story. And we all need to rewrite our personal stories so we can rewrite the story of the world around us. If we want to change the world, we have to change it from within, right? So again, I'm just going to go through this very quickly, but these 6 steps are all outlined in Liberation from Limitation on our website if you want to check it out. We get clear on our intention. We make sure we're in full alignment with that intention. So this is what's in your conscious mind control, right? And this is where you can kind of understand more about the hidden blocks, the inner blocks that hold you back, the steps you're going to need to take to get from where you are to where you want to be, and the sort of places that you're not going to be able to go and change, like having a reality check and like getting what is possible and what isn't possible, helps us to realize helps us to know when we're not kidding ourselves and we're not creating pie in the sky. We have a pathway to get from where we are to where we want to be. Now, the third step in all of this is inspired action. It's about, if you are going to deviate from the conditioning you inherited, what are the other paths you can take? How can you befriend your inner world so you become curious rather than judgmental of what is there? This is so important because it's the judgment we attach to everything that keeps us stuck in lower frequencies. And if we judge ourselves, we judge the world. We've got an opinion on everyone. But what is your opinion based on? Who is it based on? Who told you to think what you think? Is it from a newspaper? Is it from some spiritual teacher? Like, we've got to be so careful. Being in the space of no mind and curiosity and wondering what's the best that can come of everything allows miracles to occur. Fourth step in this 6-step process is about learning how both your inner world and the world around you is communicating with you. So I call this making the mundane magical, right? And for me, this is really about looking at seeing whether the way you're perceiving the world around you is helping you to achieve what you want and align with it, or whether it's blocking it. And again, there's so much about our internal network that is fascinating. We have to be willing to see it with curiosity rather than judgment. Then we get to a place where we are rewriting the narrative. And this is, again, I think we've missed a little step here, actually. What you're actually doing here is learning how to create a new story from an old one. So you have to gather all the information if you want to create something new in your world. We have to gather all the information from our history that tells us why we keep creating what we've created so far. And then we can put all that information together and we flip it. We flip it around and create something new. So this course relates just to the conscious mind, which is only 5 to 10% as powerful as the subconscious mind, which is 90 to 95% more powerful than the conscious mind in terms of weight. But as I said to you, the conscious mind is the 4D bridge, it's the doorway, right? So if you don't get your conscious mind on board with your superconscious, you'll never be able to free yourself from the turnings of your history or her story. You'll never be able to get beyond what has been created in the past. So you've got to get your conscious mind on board. So even though it's only 5 to 10% as powerful, it's the deal breaker. All right, very important. We can't do all of this in one course. Okay, I love this because this is an image that kind of explains the divine matrix coding. And this divine matrix coding is, well, you've seen the matrix, you've seen the green. So imagine rainbow, imagine our 12-strand DNA being reactivated and us recognizing that we are divine humans. We're here to lead from the heart, but we need some instructions to do that. Now, I mentioned before to you how important the entertainment industry is. And please don't think that I'm saying that politics and the medical system and all the rest of it isn't important, but the entertainment industry has the power literally to save us or annihilate us. And we have a part to play in that, which I'm going to mention in a minute. So for the way showers, the luminaries, the influencers, the visionaries, the media moguls, the authors, the actors, the screenwriters, we need them to actually recognize the responsibility they have, because we end up wanting to emulate what is put in front of us. We energize it. Now, there's lots of different things available to us, but I don't know if you know that, for example, in the podcast world, the most popular type of podcast is actually real life crime. We are obsessed with what humans do, but I don't mean the best of what we do. I mean the worst of what we do. And if you see the way that the world is run currently, you have to ask the question, are these people in touch with their souls or not? So when I work with people one-to-one, when I work with people who are influencers in this world, I teach them the 6 pillars of divine human leadership. I live by these pillars, and everybody who does this work through RozyGlow is learning to be a divine human leader in their own right in whatever they do. So these pillars are accountability, transparency, integrity, compassion, forgiveness, and discernment. Now, accountability is essential in terms of I'm willing to be sovereign, I'm willing to take responsibility for my actions. Transparency is essential because we're living in a world where systemic corruption is just taken as standard. Integrity is essential. At present, most people don't understand that integrity means integrating the body, the mind, the heart, living as a holistic human. And with the heart, I mean the soul as well, right? So integrity is essential. If we are going to use the sword, we die by the sword. We're willing to die by the sword. Whatever we put out, we're willing to take ourselves. Very important. Compassion. Compassion is what allows love to win. It allows us to access forgiveness of the most heinous crimes, because pain creates pain. You would never get someone that is happy and balanced creating pain in someone else and suffering. So we have to understand those who are projecting the worst pain in this world, whoever your villain is not a very well balanced being themselves. They are the, how do I put this in a way that makes sense? So they have been on the receiving end of abuse of whatever form has occurred. Maybe it was intentional, maybe it was unintentional. And maybe we can blame them and judge them for not making lemonade out of lemons, but perhaps they didn't have the skills, the tools, the resources. So they're doing the best that they can with what they had. All of us, that is true for. We have to have compassion and forgiveness, and that's why the last pillar is discernment. One of the things we teach is fuck off fences and bullshit barriers, right? You've got to know when what you're being told to believe is not true. Your heart always knows, but we are bombarded with so much misinformation, and don't think it's just in the mainstream media, it's in the alternate channels too. So the absolute bottom line, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Have you heard that before? I know I've been taught it. So on the one hand, I want to be more powerful, but on the other hand, I'm scared of being more powerful because my conditioning says I will abuse that power. Let's come back to what I said at the start. Now, if the abuse of power comes as no surprise, then how can we actually learn to be powerful and keep to those 6 pillars and act in integrity and discernment and compassion and accountability and transparency? It all comes down to whether we're willing to be transparent. Okay, it comes down to whether we're willing to say, I am prepared to have a desire, to recognize I'm fallible, to turn my desires over to the highest good of all and the win-win-win, knowing that I am not surrendering to some outside of me entity that's going to judge me as good or bad. I am choosing to put my soul in control, the me who already has everything I want, because in a multidimensional universe, everything is coexisting all at once. And I'm putting the bit of me that already knows the experience I am seeking to lead me. And I know that whatever I wish for myself and for the world around me, I'm always going to surrender it to the win-win-win and the highest good of all. That way I cannot abuse my power. Now, in the world we live in today, old beliefs are governing our reality. I've already mentioned that. Simple way of saying this is that the world is currently governed by aging adults that are governed by hurt little children. And I don't mean their little children, I mean their inner little children. The adults of today's world, they're not coming from their hearts. So I just want to quickly remind everyone that World War I and World War II trauma, if you look at all of the political leaders in the world today, they're either post-World War I babies or post-World War II babies. Okay? Have a look and see the people that have been the major players and what's happened in the last 2 years and what's happening now and what's happened since the 1985 onwards, 84 onwards, you can call it. Okay? We have we've got over 60 years of pre and neonatal research to show us the problem and the solution. It's not just entertainment industry, it's the way we're conceived, gestated, birthed and nurtured in early life that determines whether we're going to pass this on to the next generation or not. And it's got to stop now. It is my belief, and it comes through the RozyGlow channel, that in one generation we can significantly shift trauma so that we clear the past, we adjust our perception of what is possible in the present, and therefore we totally change our future. And yeah, that includes climate change. It includes every problem that we have in the world around us, because it's all vibrational. Now, we don't just have, my friends, 60 years worth of research around pre and neonatal trauma. We also have 60 to 70 years ago, we first started to have information about infinite energy source supplies, about technology that means we don't have to worry about finite energy running out. And by that, I mean, we've all noticed our gas and electric and petrol's gone up recently. Now, please remember, it started to go up well before what's been happening now in the Ukraine started. Okay, it was already happening before. And it's all part of a plan. The plan that is designed for us, which is this fear matrix trying to control the masses and keep things the way they are, because this is what you do when you're operating from your ego programming. You want to maintain the control and the status and the power you have. So all it's doing is trying to stop itself being annihilated, whatever it is and whoever they are, right? There is an agenda. The New World Order, Agenda 30. It was called Agenda 21. You can look this up. It's all over United Nations. It's there. The plan for the future. You will own nothing and you will be happy. You will be, surveillance will be everywhere. We will own nothing. We will all live in cities. Like, it's all laid out. It's been laid out for us. And if we don't make another choice and decide we want something different, and don't just say no to that, but use that as a springboard for what else is possible. Okay, this is what you've come up with the best of your knowledge and understanding and your desire to keep things as they are. Thank you. I've decided, as have my mates, that we want to actually have a go at having an experience of being sovereign human beings that are willing to take responsibility for our actions, make our own mistakes, leave the most minimal impact on this world as possible in terms of negativity. So we're going to take this idea you've got and we're going to develop it. We're going to open source it. We're going to take it to the next level. And that's what we are all talking about. We have to re-educate ourselves and implement the information that we have. We have to blow the lid. We have to accept that we have had information hidden from us and distorted. And that this is, although it's done on purpose, it is done with the intent to try and keep things as they are. Because there is a bit of a fear that 8 billion humans doing as they please, not being so willingly controlled by fear, might be a bit of a problem. However, we have proven time and again, especially in times when there is conflict, that we can band together and we can rise above our differences and have a common goal. And it's time now we take that to the next level. So we're actually on a journey from Star Wars to StarPeace, my friends. That's what RozyGlow is all about. It's a galaxy and a spaceship. We all learn to activate our light bodies through all of the RozyGlow stuff. This is come back to the original point here, how to master co-creating our reality. Well, we have to firstly decide what reality do we want to create and why do we want to create it. And so to move from Star Wars to StarPeace, we have to recognize we are the ones being called to rewrite the narrative of the world through rewriting our personal story. And all of us have been taught on some level not to be selfish. Don't be selfish, put others first. The greater good. It's all been banded around like you wouldn't believe in the last couple of years. And yet, here we are, knowing that if we carry on the way we're going, we're facing extinction. We're annihilating the planet, not just with our man-made bio and thermal weapons, but actually just by the fact that we're not respecting our resource, our environment. We don't know how to regenerate it. Raise our vibration, watch how the planet around us regenerates. Like, this is the magic, the power we have, but we have to really evolve our intentions in this world, whether it's to help others, whether it's to come out of debt, whether it's to have a relationship that's meaningful, whether it's to bring a child into this world, whether it's to discover your soul mission, whether it's to have a successful business or a 10K month or whatever your drive is. Everything that you desire for a reason. We can actually take this to what is the most graceful, easy, and joyful expression of my gifts in this world. How can I have the most fun as I bring into being what I desire? A whole new path. It's not the yellow brick road, it's the rainbow brick road, and it's sparkly. Okay, so this bit really made me laugh, so I'm just going to move this down. This journey that we are on, that we're inviting you on, or inviting you to integrate more fully with, is inviting us to a party in the heart. The solar plexus and the nervous system hold ego wounds and amplify them. So remember I said our inner families and the solar plexus? Our third eye and physical brain recreate the past in the future due to perception of current environment influence by past trauma filters. So the way we see the world is based on our ancestors' experience, right? So remember that we all have blinkers on. So the only way that we evolve beyond the wounds of the past and the perceptions of what's possible in the future is to make this deep and profound connection with the heart, the universe of the heart. And that's what the gift of the 2020 vision. And now here we are in this equinox balance. So a couple of little golden nuggets before I bring this to a close. In order to manifest co-creating our reality, we must defer control and decision-making to the version of us which has already accomplished what we seek. That is our higher self on our divine design timeline. Okay? It's all stuff we teach you in what we're doing. So in order to master co-creating our reality, we must defer control and decision-making to the version of us that already has accomplished what we seek. We are all ascended masters in training. We cannot become saints until we have experienced being sinners. This is the soul journey of unifying all 144,000 facets of the diamond of the divine masculine and feminine. You hear about this twin flame connection. It's a non-physical thing. It's unifying all aspects of our consciousness. We have to choose to love, accept, and forgive ourselves for all lower self decision-making. That's what loving up the shadow is. So the shame, the guilt, the blame, like every time we enact something when we're like, why did you choose that? It's to bring more love and compassion and forgiveness to ourselves. And then we can give that to others. Now, notice I've used we have to quite a lot. Now, I say we have to if we want to master co-creating our reality. You don't have to do anything. But if we want to master co-creating our reality and co-create peace on earth, this is the download, my friends. This is fresh, hot off the press, 3 days ago. These are the instructions. We swapped the 3D Fear Matrix virtual reality headset for the 5D Divine Matrix Thrive Paradigm headset. That's what we're here to do. Okay, that's what RozyGlow is offering you. Our senses pick up on other environmental signals, ones that promote thriving and regeneration. So I kind of see it as like, if I just get up in the day and I just go about my day, and I haven't actually done this reprogramming to any deep extent, or I'm not committing to it daily, I am basically seeing the world through the echoes of my old conditioning. I have to consciously choose every day, because I'm 43. So if I started this journey when I was, what did we say, 8 years ago, this specific journey, right? So 35, still committing daily, sometimes hour by hour, to this way of seeing things, because for 35 years, I wasn't, right? So is it going to take another 35 years for it to really embed? Who knows? I can have as much fun as I like along the way. But what happens is I need less and less tuning, right? I stay more and more in tune the more I practice. Okay, and then eventually that tuning gets held, and I know when it's even slightly off and I can recenter. So if I don't choose to do this full alignment of subconscious, conscious, and superconscious, then I'm going to keep being fallible to the old programming in the world around me and the echoes of my programming. If though I choose to put my soul in control daily and work with this energy and the collective consciousness, I'm putting a different headset on that allows me through my senses to see other possibilities, to look for the good, to sense other environmental cues that allow me to see how to thrive in a world where that's coming down, that's still based on survival. We're learning to regenerate. So the question for all of you is whether you are ready to activate and anchor your divine human consciousness. For those of you who are fearless and Rise members and Liberation graduates, you just have to recommit, my friends. You're on it. This is the download. This is the latest. This is where we're at. Look at your conscious mind as the doorway for basically how you guarantee that your superconscious is guiding your future and not your ego programming. It's daily, it requires a lot of humor, and it is all about blind spot discovery and fine tuning. For those of you who are newer to this adventure, the question is, do you still want to play around with trying to control your environment and trying to control your life and having some kind of success in manifesting and law of attractioning, but really still defer to your mind because you think mind is God? Or are you ready to drop fully into trusting your heart and going on the most phenomenal adventure ever? Because everything is accessible through the heart. Only very limited things are accessible through the mind, even though they seem infinite. There's a glass ceiling. So for those of you who are in the position of being some form of creative, so particularly in high profile positions of influence, primarily in the media and entertainment industry, this is the one-to-one work that I do now. This is where I work with those who are wanting to take their influence to the next level. And you can find out more about that by visiting rosannahannis.com. If this relates to you, this is the portal I'm inviting you into. And basically, I just take you on a journey one-to-one with me so we can adjust your internal framework so that what you put out in the world is now coming from your divine self, your higher self, rather than your ego programming. If there are any little areas, blind spots, which typically they are because we keep repeating the same story and what we create in the world and we amplify it, and we clear all of that. And you can access contact with me via the form on that site, okay? For everybody else, I want you please just to remember this, that I've been given the guidance that it's essential I work with those who are ready in the entertainment industry to make this global shift from Star Wars to StarPeace, from fear matrix to divine matrix. But every human being who is a consumer of entertainment and even the institutions of this planet, we all need to go through this process of upgrading our circuitry from the ego-based programming to the divine human programming. And this is why we offer every which way we possibly can to make this accessible to you. We know it's mind-blowing and it's going to change your world. When I think about what people spend money on just as an experience, I'm like, hold on a minute, this is an experience. This is what I wish every human has access to do, because if this was done from early life, we wouldn't have to do it. It would just be passed from one generation to the next. But everyone's given the opportunity now to up level. So this is about whether you are ready to put your soul in control and to fully activate the divine soul consciousness. If you're ready to do that, you are so in the right place, okay? So in the right place. And what you will create from going through this change, off the scale. The fast track to accessing what we have on offer is to book a breakthrough call. And if you drop an email to support@RozyGlow.com, we will send you a discount code. You can access the breakthrough call through the main website, RozyGlow.com. And this in itself is very good at just directing you to where you most need to look, where there is a bridge that needs to be built to allow you to get from where you are to where you want to be. But it is also our pre-qualifying for the other work that we actually do, fearless, liberation, the multidimensional yoga. There is something for everyone to get you on this path. And if you do choose to go ahead with what we offer, we take the cost of the call off the cost of the course. Okay, that is with fearless in particular. So the slow burn, if you're newer to us and you're like, sounds interesting, but I want to dip my toe in, join our mailing list, RozyGlow.com. Commit to the Star Salutation Divine Legacy Upgrade, because it's there to clear blocks in love, money, resource, energy, health, and become a member of our Divine Human Temple, which is brand new. I have to thank Augustine and Gemma for basically co-creating this into being, because we realize all of us need to develop these divine human leadership skills, okay, so that we can lead ourselves from the known to the unknown and to trust that we are leading ourselves somewhere better. And that's what this is all about. So it's all mindset shifting stuff. And I'm also going to invite everybody, please, to join the StarPeace movement, which you can do by visiting rosannahannis.com. and then it's /I-am-StarPeace. Now, I say this because, as I mentioned before, consumers and creatives have their roles to play. We're all consumers. What we watch, what we read, what we listen to, what we tune into, basically, whether it's alternative or mainstream narratives, we're energizing. So how to be conscious consumers of what we put into our subconscious is what StarPeace is all about. Also, our buying power is determining then what is being created. So for the creatives who are creating, whatever level you are creating on, you could be a jeweler, an artist, you could be an author, you could be all sorts of creative outlets. I'm inviting you to remember the power of stepping into your divine human self rather than creating from your pain body. And that's everything that we do is designed to do this. So joining the StarPeace movement will help make it viral. It's open source. I want everybody to take it and embody it. If we just started to see the word StarPeace instead of Star Wars, it would immediately start to shift our mindset into what else is possible. And I've got these little infograms that have been shared. You know, it's a little reminder really to bring this to a close. So everything changes when you start to emit your own frequency rather than absorbing the frequencies around you. When you start imprinting your intent on the universe rather than receiving an imprint from existence, this is the difference between the divine mind and the ego mind. And Barbara Marciniak is a channel of the Pleiadians, sorry. She's done a lot of amazing books around that. So, you know, when you make that choice that you're going to create the frequency rather than bow to the frequency around you, that's when magic happens. That's what RozyGlow is about. In this middle one here, you've got a human at the edge of the cliff, and you've got the being pushed and the being caught, which is the universe. That is also our higher self. That is our soul programming that creates the destiny conditions to allow us to make different choices. And that leads me to the divine appointment of now, and the fact that you're even here in this moment. You've decided to be part of this presentation and to allow your mind and your heart to expand. You know, you're here for a reason. And the stepping up and stepping forward is what allows you to clear the block in every area of your life to expand your consciousness about what is possible. And that means being healthier, wealthier, happier, and more in love than you could possibly imagine, because you co-create that. So whilst you're here, if you decide to book a breakthrough call, which I highly recommend, and you decide to be part of our community, please do let us know if someone recommended us to you, because this is how the sparks pass from one space to the next, and we are a community. Now, this is all on the Rosanna Hannis page, but the problem and the solution, it's there in black and white, it's there in gold and white. We're basically in a situation where we're going through a massive awakening, and we get to choose what we want to create out of what has already been created. I've already explained the basis of it all, but just if you want to know more about this problem and solution element bit, it's all about raising our vibration and recognizing we need to be the vibrational shift that we want in the world. And we can't do it just by trying to control our thoughts. Okay, so you can find out more about that on the Rosanna Hannis website.